Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Press A to Play Pokemon. This will be a Let's Play kind of show, which I'll be continuing on, hopefully until I beat the game. We'll be playing Pokemon Red, if you haven't noticed. Yeah, we're just going to start a new game. I had another file that I've been playing just, on and off for a couple years, actually. But I think we'll start a new one for this. Professor Oak talking to us about Nidorinos, as you do. Yeah, I wanted to do Pokemon, if you haven't noticed or not watched our podcast. This is Jacob talking. Yeah, Pokemon, the reason I wanted to do this was because Pokemon is probably one of my favorite game series. It's always been there. I played it since it came out, so 2009, somewhere around there. Since I was 8 years old, I've played this game. My first memory of it was my cousin actually playing it on her Game Boy, and she had a Charmander, so Charmander was the first Pokemon I'd ever seen, and I thought that was cool. I liked the idea. I had never really played RPGs up until that point. I was very young, obviously. Mostly just Mario games and Sonic and whatever. And so the idea of exploring a world, like from a overview perspective, accompanied by like these creatures who could, who keep you company and fight other monsters for you, was very interesting to me. So I picked it up, and I saw that one of the first Pokemon you can pick is Squirtle. And at the time, I loved just water and aquatic animals and turtles especially. So the fact that you could pick up a big turtle that spits water as your starting Pokemon just solidified it as a game that I wanted to play. So since then, basically, I have played Pokemon. Every year I've at least picked it up. There's times in my life where my interest with the series has wavered, but I've never stopped playing it. If we want to get into a brief history of it. I played Gen 1, obviously, Blue. I lost my copy of it in a snowstorm. That sounds really weird, but basically we were just walking in the snow and it fell out of my bag. But after that I got Yellow, and I played that a lot. And in Yellow you can get all 3 starters plus a Pikachu who interacts with you, which is pretty cool. And I love that game. I played it over and over again. I'm the type of person who plays Pokemon. They would get to the Elite Four, beat it, and start again. If I had any interesting Pokemon, I would try and transfer them to someone else's cartridge. But I loved restarting and just playing through the adventure again. And then I moved on to Gen 2, which I think probably I spent the most time with. I had both copies, actually. I remember at the time, I don't know exactly when it came out. I was a little older than Nate, I can tell you that. And I had some of my own allowance that I've been saving up, and I bought Silver for myself. And my mom got me Gold on my birthday soon afterwards. So I had both copies. I was an only child, so I never really had anyone to trade with. So I was really excited about that. So yeah, I played 2 a whole bunch. Like I said, probably the most out of all of them. There's Squirtle. Squirtle is to this day my favorite Pokemon. I still love him to death. I don't know. Basically, how it goes is I always pick Squirtle unless I'm trying to play the game differently, in which case I'll pick Charmander. And I've only ever played the game with Bulbasaur once. So I'm trying to decide right now whether I want to do this a Squirtle run or a Bulbasaur run. Just complete fresh start. Sure, why not? We're picking Bulbasaur. Squirrel's my favorite, but gotta change things up. And I never picked Bulbasaur, like I said, just the once. Bulbasaur is probably like the least chosen. So do I name him Venusaur? No, he's just gonna be Bulbasaur. But yeah, Bulbasaur is definitely the least picked out of them. Charmander, I think, unequivocally is the most popular of the starters, and with Squirtle being a close second. And everyone forgets Bulbasaur, and I feel kind of bad for him because he's cool. He's an interesting design. He's pretty good competitively, actually. We're about to get into our first battle. Continuing on with the history lesson. I played 2 a lot. I love the idea in 2 of being able to go to the original setting after you've beaten the game, and just added so much content. It was wonderful to just have a whole new world to explore after you thought you'd beaten the game, and to revisit all these places. Like Blue is spoilers. Blue is like a gym leader, and the Cinnabar Island was like the volcano on it blew up, so everyone had to evacuate. It was cool. And I don't think any other Pokemon games explored. Well, I guess Black and White 2 was the only game to explore a setting twice in 2 different time periods. So after Gen 2, I moved on to Gen 3. I still remember looking up double battles and thinking that was super cool. But 3 was the first generation. I was moving into high school then, and 3 was the first generation that I didn't beat the Elite Four on. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh crap. Are you kidding me? Crits? I'm gonna die on the first trainer battle? For reals? For reals, yo? Oh my god. Really? Okay, great. Yeah. I just died. Moving on. Gen 3 was the first generation I didn't beat. It was interesting. I definitely liked the setting, and I liked the Pokemon. Pokemon were still very interesting, but for some reason, I guess just the point I was in my life, I didn't beat the Elite Four. I kept pushing it off. I still remember I was grinding levels because I changed my team up a little bit, and I just never went back to it. Then so I took a bit of a break from Pokemon. I still play the older, like 2 or Yellow, but I didn't finish 3, and then 4 came out, and I'm like, oh, well, I've gotten every other series, so why not get 4? So I got Diamond. And it was interesting. Lots of the Pokemon were different, and I wasn't sure how I felt about the graphics style, because they tried to do like this faux 3D thing. And I don't really remember a lot about 4. The underground aspect, where you got to dig, and like it was kind of taking the place of your secret areas. What was it called? Secret rooms? Secret somethings? That was kind of cool how you got to interact with other people. But oh man, I forgot the potion from the beginning. Hold on, I have to talk to this guy and get another potion. I'm going back afterwards. I'll get it later. But yeah, shut up. I don't care. Where was I? 4. But something about 4 never really kept my interest. I think it was just because there was too many new Pokemon at that time. I was like, no, Gen 1 and 2 were like the best, man. And I was like full into high school, and Pokemon wasn't exactly cool. So I never beat it. I never actually beat the last gym leader. I ended up giving that game to my cousin. I kind of want to go back and replay it, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. Obviously, I picked Turtwig because he's a turtle. Turtles are the best. But after that, I gave up. I realized that I didn't have any drive to beat 4, and when Gen 5 came out, Black and White, I just didn't care. I didn't get it. I didn't feel a need to spend money on another Pokemon game. And then a couple of my friends were still playing it, and I would still keep up with the news and stuff. And then Black and White 2 came out, which was an interesting concept, but I just didn't care. But then when Gen 6 was coming around, something about it just, like, there was a big hype about it, and I got really caught up in it. Of just, it was in 3D, and like they're mega evolutions. You can pick the old starters, which immediately grabbed me. If I could somehow bring Squirtle into whatever generation I was currently playing, I was immediately in love. And yeah, oh no, okay, good. So I was interested in it. And I didn't have a DS or a 3DS at the time. I thought the DS was going to be my last handheld. But Pokemon convinced me. Pokemon X and Y. So I picked up X along with the normal 3DS, and I started playing through it. And it was the first Pokemon game I've beaten since Gen 2, since Silver. There was just like a renewed interest in the game, not just from me, but from everyone I knew and from people on the internet. Everyone just seemed to love X and Y and love Pokemon again, was talking about it. So yeah, sorry. But X really brought me back to the series, and I've played it a lot since. I haven't played X in a couple months. I want to get back to it. And I do intend to pick up Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which have just came out a couple months ago at the time of recording. Because Gen 3 is one that I really do want to revisit, because I do feel bad for never finishing it. And again, I really like 3's like its art style and its setting. It was such a cool area, and it had an interesting enough story and atmosphere that I do want to go back to it. And Gen 3's Pokemon I do really like. I really like the art style. I feel like after it was at Gen 1 and 2 have a very similar art style for the Pokemon. And Gen 3 started to move away from it, but it wasn't as big a departure as 4. So yeah, I really have a... Sorry, I thought I was saying the same conversation over again, but I'm not. Yeah, Gen 3, I want to go back to it. So yeah, I think we're gonna keep going. Lots of talking in the first bit of Pokemon. But I wanted to ask you guys, dear listeners, all 5 of you, what's your history of Pokemon? I've told you mine. This was although it took however long it did, it was still pretty abridged. But yeah, what's your history? Have you played it since the beginning? If not, what generation were you introduced to it? Were you just immediately hooked, or is it just something you kind of played in the background? I'm curious to learn about that. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? I think I'm gonna try and get to Viridian Forest. I don't know why I'm going here. We're gonna try and get to Viridian Forest for this episode. That's the potion. I don't know if any people know that. I think every generation of Pokemon has a potion hidden in your PC. Maybe not the newest ones, because PC has infinite carrying capacity, but definitely all the old ones. There's a potion hidden in your computer. If we want to get into my knowledge of Pokemon, like I said, I've been with it since the beginning, and a couple years ago I got into the more competitive aspects of it on Smogon and Showdown and stuff. So I definitely know which Pokemon are good, which ones are bad, which moves to do. I'm not the best battler, but I try. I do like the strategic aspects of fighting online with people. And especially with Showdown, because it's more organized and there's like tiers and stuff, and you can't use like accuracy moves or have everyone asleep. It makes it a little more fair to me. Whereas when I got super excited about X, and I tried playing, goddamn, Bulbasaur. This is why I don't pick you. I'm sorry, that was rude. Hey, I grew a level. But when I was super interested in 6, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna build an awesome team. I'm gonna start breeding, like really good Pokemon. And I got my team, and I went online and immediately got my ass handed to me because someone was using a Gengar who is ridiculous, and like 2 legendaries. It's like at no contest, because I don't like using legendaries on my team, like competitive or otherwise. I feel like they're cheap, which, to each his own. It's just how I feel. But yeah, damn it. I got my ass handed to me, and I kept trying, and it was just people over and over again using like the super strong Pokemon or cheap tactics. So I went back to Smogon. I do still intend to. Well, I kept breeding that team and training it just so I could have it, but I've stopped playing online in the general Pokemon. I do still play Smogon all the time, though. Actually, I want to try Muck. I'm very interested recently in trying out Pokemon that you don't expect in Smogon. I recently tried Marowak, who you'd never see. I believe he's never used, for those of you who follow the Smogon rules. No one ever uses him competitively, and he was actually pretty good. I think mostly because there is like an established meta to Pokemon. I think Ferrothorn's a good wall, and like Thundurus is awful, and everyone hates him. Same with Gliscor, and no one uses Marowak, so no one knew what to do against him. And once you give him an item called Thick Club, no joke, please. He's pretty strong, like not amazingly strong, but still stronger than you'd expect. And he worked out pretty well, so I want to try and do that. I want to do that with Muck. Muck's the next one on my list to try and come up with a good strategy for him. I would tell you my Marowak strategy, but I completely cannot remember off the top of my head. Just the item thing. Yeah, let's get some Pokeballs. Have to just start focusing. I mean, goddamn, I lost my first battle. That's happened to me once before, and I was like 8 years old. I don't know what I'm selling. I want to buy. So because we have Bulbasaur, we don't need to get Mankey. For those of you that don't know, basically, how the games work was if you pick, depending on which starter you pick, the start of the game is easier or more difficult. Bulbasaur is the easiest, quote unquote, because the first 2 gym leaders are weak to him. So you don't need another Pokemon. He can just tank the whole 2 first gyms, and even to the 3rd one, he's neutral. Did I just buy 4 potions? Whatever. And Squirtle, he's strong against the first gym, and he's neutral to the 2nd, and he's weak to the 3rd. So he's like the middling one. Whereas Charmander is. I'm gonna stop wasting my money because I think I'm buying doubles of stuff, or not. Burn Heal. I'll just get 2 of those as well. Whereas Charmander is weak to ground, weak to weak to rock and ground, weak to water, and neutral to electric. So he has the roughest time, and he needs backup or just a shit ton of grinding in order to make it. So a trick, if you're using Charmander, is to, from Viridian City, go left. And in this grass over here, there's a low chance of getting a Mankey, which is a fighting type, which is strong against rock. So it'll at least help you during the Brock fight, the first gym. And then in the Viridian Forest, you can pick up Pikachu, who will help you against Misty, which is an electric gym leader. So yeah, I'm just gonna pick up Mankey just because he's cool. Do I want Nidoran? Sure. Let's try and catch a Nidoran. Nidoking is one of my favorite Pokemon. I haven't used him recently, just because he's not quite as strong as you'd like him to be, at least competitively. But I've always liked the design, and he's got an interesting typing and everything. Poison Ground. And yeah, he just looks cool. He's just this big purple thing, which I find hilarious. Is that going to kill him? No. Yes, okay. Even with a critical hit. But yeah. So I'm going to catch Nidoran. Male? Male. I always get Nidoking because I think he looks cooler, but Nidoqueen's cool enough. I think they have the same stats, slightly different moves though. So yeah, we're gonna catch a Mankey. If I was talking about something else before that, I've completely forgotten. Nidoran male. That was an interesting thing. Before in Gen 1 there was no male and females except for Nidoran and Nidoran male and female because they had a differentiation in the genders. And then in Gen 2 they introduced every Pokemon has a gender. And then in Gen 4, I think it was, they introduced slight differences between male and female. Whereas Nidoran, male and female, are still considered two different Pokemon. I always thought that was pretty cool. Do I have to re-heal in this one? Another aspect of Pokemon, going back to the old generations, is the different mechanics that they changed. A lot of Pokemon have stayed the same, which people always point to and laugh at. And it's true. But there have been some subtle improvements, and you really don't notice them until you go back. In Gen 1, it's the biggest difference because, like, the moves, not all the moves are balanced. I mean, like, sleep is awful. Waking up takes a whole turn. You can't wake up and attack. Accuracy was a bit of a problem. Multiple hit moves and like wrap and bind were super annoying because they prevented you from attacking. And stuff like that just really hindered the strategic elements of the game. Like, it was still fun, but there's some things that were just annoying to deal with. And like TMs nowadays are multiple use, whereas in the old days they're single use. That's something you have to keep in mind when you're going back. Just like, oh yeah, I'll just put Earthquake on everybody. No, you can only put it on one Pokemon. And just small improvements like that. There's a couple other ones. Not gonna get a Rattata. Rattata is actually pretty cool. I do like it, but I'm not gonna get it this time. You really learn to appreciate Pokemon like Rattata if you ever do Nuzlocks. For those of you that don't know, a Nuzlocke is a particular challenge that you put on yourself when you're playing a Pokemon game. Where if your Pokemon faints, among other rules, but the main one is if your Pokemon faints, it dies. You can't use it again. So you have to be very careful. And another common rule is that the first Pokemon that you see in an area is the only one you can catch. So if you kill him, you can't catch a Pokemon in that area. And if you catch him, then you can't catch another one. So Rattata is because they have such a high spawn rate. I don't know what I just did there. I don't know why I'm going back. It is surprisingly hard to play a game while also talking. I'm just learning to appreciate that now. But yeah, you learn to appreciate Pokemon like Rattata and Pidgey and stuff just because they have such a high spawn rate. You're going to catch them often. It's going to be the only thing you can catch. And first you're like, damn it, Rattata again. But they're fast and they're strong. So they're definitely useful. And Raticate's cute, come on. Raticate's so cute, what are you talking about? But talking about Nuzlocks, it is something I've done before. I'm currently playing through one, and I lost my starter a while ago. And I don't think I've been that depressed over a game in a long time. So it can definitely be stressful. I've tried encouraging other people to play it, but it's it's too stressful. Like when you lose or sad, just like when you lose a Pokemon, especially like one of your favorites. God, it just doesn't. It makes you not want to play anymore, and you just kind of have to push through. Still haven't found this Mankey. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna keep trying. I think I might try and go for a Pikachu in Verdant Forest. Yeah, this will be the last one. If it's not, yeah, okay. Too late. Sorry, Mankey. Gonna have to keep moving. I don't want to. I'm one of those people who, when they have their party of Pokemon, they try and get everyone up to the same level, all like close at all times. But I'm not gonna bore you guys with grinding. Okay, one more Pokemon before I give up on Mankey. But yeah, I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. Maybe I'll catch one off screen. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll catch one off screen and I'll get everyone up to the proper level. So you guys don't have to see that. And I think I'm going to move on to my final question, which is to ask you guys, do you want to see more of this? I am going to be doing more Pokemon playthroughs and more playthroughs in general, but do you guys want to see a Nuzlocke? And in those next playthroughs, what do you guys want to see? I'm definitely all for doing a Nuzlocke on the channel. And if you want to suggest any games for me to do, names for Pokemon I should catch, secrets I might not know about. Again, I am pretty invested and I would say knowledgeable about Pokemon, but if you think I don't know something or I'm doing something wrong, tell me. Maybe I'll listen. But yeah, past that door is Verdant Forest, which will be for our next episode. Thanks for listening, guys. Consider subscribing, liking, all that stuff. And lastly, have fun and good luck.